Feeling much better here lately. I wanted to make a video and an update on what's going on, and I wanted to talk about, in this video, benzos, specifically Xanax and things like that. I was watching my boy Jordan Peterson over here. If you haven't heard about him or seen any of his videos, I highly recommend it. It's one of the most enthralling, and I've never felt so emotionally and spiritually engaged in someone talk about things. His lectures on the Bible and how he relates things in a perspective that I can understand, and it turns these stories into something that's a little more palatable is extremely refreshing. So I highly recommend looking him up. He's actually talking right now about him having some issues with benzos, and I have been long down that road a long time. I think when I was 16 or 17, I think I took my first Xanax, and I mean, it filled that hole in my heart, and it filled that hole, well, at least I thought it did. It filled that empty space in my chest that just with, you didn't have to worry about anything, or you didn't have to feel anything, or worry about, these issues going on. And I mean, I became so addicted. This was around the same time I started getting in trouble with the law, and I was stealing stuff. And I mean, I would take, I'd get a 91 milligram little blue footballs, as I called them, from the doctor, and I'd have them gone probably in under a week. I mean, I'd snort them and I'd drink with them, and if you know anything about benzos, you don't drink with them. But I mean, I could never even help myself. I would love to drink with them. I mean, I'd snort like 10 of them and then pound a 12 pack, and I mean, I'd be out. And it's weird because I remember everything. I remember one time, and I got caught for all this, what I'm about to tell you. So I mean, it's not incriminating myself here. I've done my dues for the stupid things I've done. But I took probably like 12 footballs and maybe some bars. I can't really remember. But I took a shit ton. I smashed this 12 pack, and then I was really drunk, really fucked up, and I told my mom. I asked her if she'd take me to this girl's house, and she said yeah. So we get in her car and drive down the road, and she realizes, what a dick I am and how messed up I am. And before this, we'd actually gotten into a fight in my room. We were like, she was an instructor, Israeli self-combat, like a hand-to-hand combat instructor or something. She did that in Peoria as her job, so she's very versed in, things of that nature. So we've always been kind of a family that likes to, hit each other lovingly, right? But so we got into it in my room, and she's trying to take me down. I'm trying to take her down, and we get into it, and we're hitting shit, knocking stuff over in my room, and we end up just yelling at each other and parting ways. And then later that night, she for some reason decided that she would still take me to this girl's house. So I was like, all right, let's go. So I get in the car, and we go off, headed towards this girl's house, and halfway there, probably, I get in another argument with her after she realizes how messed up I am. And she gets me, well, actually, first I tried to open the door and jump out of the car while I was still moving. So she gets me in a headlock and kind of pulls me over, right? And I'm trying to wiggle free, and she yells at me, and she tells me, yeah, just get out of the car or whatever, and I get out of the car in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the country. So I am more fucked up probably than I've ever been. I'm not feeling anything, not caring about anything. It's all about me. It's maybe not even that. It's something, obviously takes you over, and you just kind of just, first thing that comes to your head that's bad, you're like, I'm game. So I ended up seeing a business, and I broke the glass, and then I cut my arm on some glass while I was climbing in, and I bled all over myself. I must have hit a vein or something deep. Maybe it was just a bad cut, and I had I cut myself very badly. Ended up bleeding all over my clothes, and then, I mean, I was covered in blood. It was all over my pants and stuff, and it was real bad. So I ended up continuing on my adventure. Obviously not concerned about the loss of blood. And then I went by, and I was like, thinking about doing some car hopping, and I think I opened one guy's car, and then I was like laying in this really tall grass after I opened his car, and his like light turned on his car, but I heard some noise out in the house, so I like ran back in the tall grass and hid down there, and I was like looking, and they all came outside, and they were like looking around trying to figure out what was going on, and I kind of just continued on my way, and then I kept going, and I found another house, and I got in their garage, and lo and behold, in their garage they had a shotgun, so I took the shotgun, and I was walking down the street with it. And this was in the country, so thank goodness, it's not the city. There's not too many cars. Otherwise, that might have been a bigger issue walking down the city street with a shotgun at like 2 in the morning. But, I got that. And then, I don't know if my mom came back, but she I don't know if I talked to her and told her to come get me, but she came back, and I was walking down the street with the shotgun, covered in blood, right? And then she stops and cracks her window a little bit, tell me, like, hey, Vaughn, why don't you put that in the trunk, which is weird to me that she was, like, chill with, like, letting me keep it, which I was psyched about, because, that was the first gun I've ever had. And I put it in the trunk, and she drove me home. She said later that she thought I killed someone. So, that's how rough I was looking. So I get home, I put the shotgun in the garage, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up, and she didn't talk to me for 2 weeks after this, and this is the first time her boyfriend, which is now her husband, my stepdad, came over to visit us. so that was a sweet welcome into the family kind of deal. And then, so the next morning I wake up like, what in the world? And went out, looked at my pants. They're awful. They're ruined, obviously, like cut, full of blood. I go and get the shotgun, and that was that. And that was, that is pretty much the epitome of what Xanax can make you do if you're taking it to get completely fucked off. So that was pretty horrendous, which I'm now a felon for those things. So not only did it probably give the people that I hurt tremendous anxiety, that I broke into their houses and, house or garage and car and whatnot, business and stuff. It's like it kind of takes you away from your anxiety, but at the same point in time, it thrust so much more anxiety onto other people because of the decisions I was making. Because I never made wholesome from the heart, loving decisions. Obviously, when I'm on Xanax, the only thing I thought about was getting more fucked up. And I did this and made these same choices for years and years, and finally it all started coming back to me. I got in trouble with the law multiple times. I was car hopping once again with my friend another night, and this cop came out because actually we went up to a car in Hannah City, which is one of the cities that was kind of neighbors of Trevoli where I lived. And we're getting to a car, all messed up, just left the party, and I was opening this car, and then these people on the porch were like, hey, whose car that is? And I'm like, it's my aunt's car, which is obviously a lie. I had no idea who lived there. And they said, oh, no, it's not, whatever. So we kind of just dipped. Cop came up later that night, kind of was like, hey, freeze, stop. And I was like, okay. And then he turned around and went back to his car quick, so I'm imagining maybe he's radioing somebody. My friend's like, should we run? So we dipped. I hear the dog barking. And then we just took off, jumped over the fence. He lost his freaking glasses after we jumped like a couple fences, got a little bit of distance on him. He got back in his car to try to flank us. He probably wasn't super into running. He didn't look like he was. We did that. And then I ended up having to leave my friend because he thought his dad was going to get mad at him if he couldn't find his glasses. So I'm like, dude, I'm out of here. So I left. I finally made it back to my car eventually. Of some really strategic running across the streets and avoiding all the cop cars that was now flooding the areas. Laid down in my car, took the rest of my Xanax and put them in my hand. And then I had like 5 or 6, and I just laid there. I laid there in the back seat, real quiet, and I could hear cars driving by real fast. I'm assuming it's the cops, flashlights. They didn't know what my car looked like at that time, so I waited there for about 30, 40 minutes for my friend to get back. He never came back. I'm assuming he's caught. So I get in my car, head back home, go to bed, wake up, take the rest of the Xanax I didn't take that night, and then go back to look for him the next day. And then I get to the gas station to get some snacks, or maybe I think that was it because I wasn't at the pump. I pulled in right up front, And then 2 squad cars immediately blocked it. Look out of the car, like yelling and stuff. And then I went to jail for that. And I actually have a mugshot, and it looked horrendous. I mean, I looked like I was just lost. I mean, I don't look like I do now. I was, like I said, I've been sober for 4 years. I don't drink. I don't, do anything like that. But man, I'll tell you what. And then I came to, after all that was done, we ended up moving to Minnesota with, who I was talking about, my mom's boyfriend, now husband. So we moved here, and then I met a doctor. Right? So then when I talked to this doctor, he ended up giving me 91 milligram pills and then 30 Klonopin on top of it. Since I told him the Xanax act too fast, he's like, "Oh, I'll give you some Klonopin, too, because it's kind of short acting." Bro, so I never got into a whole lot of trouble in Minnesota. I've never got arrested or anything, but man, that was the peak of my Xanax taking ability. So I remember I took a bunch, and then, man, it just makes me such an asshole. I remember taking it, and I was at the bar with my stepdad, and for some reason, man, I told him, I was like, my mom's never going to love you as much as she loves me. Like, what a dick thing to say, right? So I said that, and then he like immediately left and had me come with him, and then he like said something to me on the parking lot, and I like punched him in the face. So we just got into a fight, like straight up in the middle of the parking lot, and then he was throwing me on the ground. I was getting punched in the face. I hit him. I gave him a gnarly black eye. He had to tell people at work an air conditioner dropped on him. And we ended up getting in 3 fights on the way home, and one finally when we got all the way home. And halfway, I ended up actually laying in the street hoping a car would run me over. So they stopped and called the cops. And the cops came and checked me. And they said I was good to go. I told them to take me to jail because I didn't know where to go. Because obviously my stepdad and my mom weren't letting me in the house anymore. So I had nowhere to go. So I ended up being homeless for a while and had to stay with my friend. And it's like, man, the stuff that I got into because of that little pill, man, it's insane. I had 2 seizures while I was driving, one on the expressway. Ended up like, I had a really weird sensation, like depersonalization, like out of body experience, like dying. I was like, like panic. I was like, whoa, I'm like detaching from my body. Whoa, and I ended up, like, just passing out. I had a seizure. So I felt, knocked out, and I was doing probably 65 on the expressway. I don't remember anything, but they said I crashed. I went off the road and crashed into a fence, and I kept my foot on the gas, and my wheels caught on fire and stuff. And I woke up in the ambulance, like, what? And I had one more after that. I kind of just drove up on the curb and had a seizure, and another one I had a seizure when I was leaving the doctor's office. I think I had 3 total. Oh no, and one more when I was withdrawing too at a different rehab facility. And I ended up leaving because I hated it. I could never get sober, like with a group, with people. It was just one day, man, I was just sick and fucking tired of relying on something and just not facing this void, this fear that was in me. You know what I mean? Like, I was tired of being a slave to a fucking pill, Like, I could hear God talk to me, and I finally listened, and said I was done. I was like, I'm done with this. I think I relapsed once, and after that, it was smooth sailing. It was hard at first. It's very hard to get acclimated to not having your safety blanket anymore. Like you have to just reprogram your entire mind on now just relying on yourself and like panicking and getting through it, right? So now my thing is I voluntarily kind of throw myself and stay my ground and just let it pass, no matter how uncomfortable it is. I mean, sometimes it's so hard not to run away. I mean, I'd never run back to Xanax or take anything, but it's so hard not to just leave that situation and retreat. Because sometimes, like like I said, I can get so overwhelmed with the grip of reality in a certain situation, especially if everyone's attention's on me, that like I get the spotlight effect, but worse, because everything ceases to be real, but at the same time, it's like hyper real, and it's like way too much to take in, and it overloads me, and I like freak out, and my face turns really red, and it's like then everybody's asking what's up, and it's like to get through that is super duper difficult. So and that's what I do now. I just kind of just let it ride, just kind of face it. But I mean, there's so many blessings that have came from it. I mean, I can't even count them all. The self-respect I have for myself, the respect I have for my friends and family, just the amount of progress that I've made just relying on the strength that I have for myself and inside myself has been tremendous. I mean, I I've made it leaps and bounds, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, it sucks sometimes, but I have a lot more. At the end of the day, I can always still just say that, hey, it was a good day, and even if it was a bad day, like, I'm learning how to get through that naturally and as myself. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm sure people can take Xanax in a healthy manner, but that was definitely not me. I could never take one. I'm not that kind of guy. I can't just take one. If one feels good, 20 is going to feel great, right? So, oh man, I remember. And then one time I was at a party with one of my buddies, and we had some, what is that other? It's a really weird drug. It's like GHB. Yeah, I think it's like GHB or something like that. But he took a bunch of Xanax and did some GHB and shit, and like he ended up like passing out. We all thought he overdosed, and I was so messed up I didn't really care. And I was like, dude, it started, and this was my boss's son, right? So I used to get totally fucked up with my boss's son. We did it at the Mall of America one time, and I just threw a beer can off the top of the Mall of America and it hit a car. That was like, we were up on the 3rd story, and it like just smashed into a car, and I could hear it. And security stopped us, and I got like banned from the Mall of America for a while. And then his boss said, "You're fired, obviously, right?" And then I hung out with his son like 7 months later, and this is this story. And they did the GHB, and I'm like, dude, if he dies, like, oh man, I'm fucked. Like a selfish thing, but I'm like, how am I gonna get out of the situation? But that's what it does, man. You just don't care. You just don't care about anything except getting more fucked up. And that's unfortunate because that's no way to live. So I don't know if people are on the same stuff or have the same kind of stories, right? Let me know. I mean, that'd be cool. It's just, I'm trying to find my way through reality now. And it's like, this dude has been so helpful. Like Jordan Peterson has been, it's incredible to like listen to someone who's so articulated in his words. I have a tough time doing that because seldom do I even like think. I'm kind of like blank a lot, just kind of like try to, reality is so weird to me. I think that occupies my mind space, or maybe like my thoughts are so, fast or something I don't notice them. So I don't really think in pictures or words a whole lot. So I'm kind of just floating through reality. So the fact that this guy can put these thoughts and these words and articulate in a way to tell these stories that makes sense and like an actual matter of fact kind of physical aspect instead of like a story imagery like the Bible does, it's kind of very hard to interpret that sometimes. I mean, I enjoy that, but it's nice to have someone to help guide us through it, and that's been huge for me. I've been praying and trying to attain more knowledge every day. I mean, that's the most important thing to me is knowledge, and trying to be a better dad and father and son, and everything, a better friend, and just trying to overcome all these weaknesses that I have, and trying to just become the best man that I can imagine being. And that's where I'm at. And if you could have seen me 6 years ago, then you would have been like, you never would have thought that this can come from that. So the fact that I found my redemption, and I worked real hard for it. So the fact that it's here now, and I'm in a place where I can look at myself in the mirror, and I can look at myself in other people's eyes, and realize that I did it. I've made it somewhere to where it makes the suffering less sufferable. I found a way to find beauty through the pain of my own existence by being the example to other people and to myself. So I mean, that's pretty sweet. So this is just a video I felt like freestyling. So if anybody has any comments or whatever, Jordan Peterson sees this tag, let me know. So that'd be sick. And thanks, guys. I appreciate some of your comments and stuff. I don't get a whole lot, but the ones I do, especially from my boy Victor, likes to comment on my videos. That's pretty sweet to see. So I thank you guys for taking the time to, even respond and tell me where you're at. That's cool, man. And you got to check out his art. I got to find the link to Victor's art page. But, man, that dude says some really cool stuff. And you'll see him in the comment section sometimes. But hopefully you can post a link and you check that stuff out, man. So I hope you guys have a good day. And thanks for listening.